Yeah, good, good. Sorry that we're chatting at this point, the last person in the Murgatory situation to not make it to the end, which is it's
Yeah.
such I can see it in your face. I can see like how hard that is. What were the thoughts for you even like after the game, knowing that you got so far, yet so close to that buff, but just didn't quite get there?
It took a lot to get acceptance, to be honest. I was
Yeah.
in a weird way kind of lucky, if you can say that, of during the game. Like it was so clear that I am the vote this night. Like there is no wiggle room when you have seven people safe at a table and six people not at camp. Like there's just nothing you can really navigate with that. So, I fight as hard, but at the end of the day, I was always like, you know what? I gotta accept this. Some things like you just can't control, and these rocks are one of them. This challenge is one of them. So even like in the game, I was able to kind of start processing in a way. And then after, I mean, it's really challenging. Like you're there, you hear them celebrate, which is kind of cruel, to be
Yeah.
honest. But you're so, so close. And you just kind of have to reframe it in a way of like, you made it pretty far. Like I got to go out, I got to play Survivor, I got to actually play. I got to meet everyone. Like I made it to the merge. So I met everyone at the merge. And then I met everyone pre-jury at Ponderosa, and I'm the only one who does that.
Yeah.
And so like you just kind of have to like I said in my beginning, like you got to celebrate the small wins, like people spelling your name right.
Yeah, yeah, I did say that. I saw your reference to that as well. And yeah, you are. That's right. You are the conduit between the pre-merge and the post-merge in a really unique way, which is special. It is so hard. You talked there about knowing that you were the person that was going to be taken out. We saw the celebration. I also thought it was a bit of an over celebration considering they were a very heavily stacked physical team. It seemed like they probably should have won that as it was. Um, being on the beach. Did you instantly feel, because I felt with the tribal council where you're commenting, and we'll come back to that in a moment, about your position. Did you honestly on the beach feel like you were the person that was going to be taken out straight away?
10,000%. I mean,
Yeah.
reason there's a nice little clip of me at the beginning saying like I have a little shot in the dark in my pocket is going into the merge. I knew my position. I knew it's not an easy one to navigate. I also knew that there were already these very intense connections through journeys, through alliances, through advantages that I just didn't have the opportunity to engage with. So it's not as easy to like you go there and like you can flip because like the person I'm flipping on, let's say Tim is well connected to Q, so I can't flip on Tim to his alliance partner.
Yeah.
So it was this very complicated web for me going there, and I'm like, I gotta win this. And then I think my mouth was open for like 5 full minutes of the challenge because I'm like, it could not have gone worse, that rock draw. Like it literally could not have gone worse. And so at camp, when I'm like, wow, my entire game rests in Tim, a guy who's been opposite end of Siga with me the entire time,
Yeah.
and Ben, someone I literally wrote down their name 24 hours ago. I'm like, I'm warming up my dice. Like it's very clear to me at least.
Yeah, I no, I felt you played it as well as you could in the tribal council itself, and it was such a challenging spot to come into because you want to come in strong. And we have seen historically in this newer era of Survivor, the majority tribes, which you were a part of with Sega, coming into merge and then being targeted. Did you see that almost as a disadvantage, not coming in with so many numbers and not really testing the battle lines pre-merge?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. Timing is such a important and fickle thing in Survivor. I mean, take Jem's vote, for example.
Yeah.
You have Charlie and you have Ben, and you have Charlie and Maria, and genuinely, like, we're close in Charlie's Angel. Like, that was an alliance that could have worked out had it been the right time. But what happened between the beginning and Jem's vote is that, Charlie had the opportunity to get closer to Ben. Tim had the opportunity to go on a journey and pull Maria into something. So, you take away one or two of those things and a whole nother game is set into motion. So it's not even just about going to tribal differently, but maybe going earlier and letting those cracks really deepen before the merge, or going earlier and maybe seeing where the cracks are just a little bit different at that era and time.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with you. It's so interesting when you come into the merge and
Mhm.
you're in that position where you obviously were left out of the vote. I know at the tribal council you spoke about being the one that was out. Was there any, and I know you kind of touched on a little bit already, but was there any thought of coming in and being like, I am like a lone number here. I was just left out of the vote. There's this four here. They're against me. Anyone can suck me up and use me.
Yeah, no, absolutely, because that's what you can do. There are one of two things on the bottom.
Yeah.
You can, take me, and the good and the bad of that is someone could take you, and you're now the bottom of them, but you're a living fool in the game. Or you can say that, and it can be great. Now we're not going to piss off four people, and we know who to target.
Yeah.
And so for me, the latter one is where I truly feel and felt like to this day where the game was at. Because you're also thinking about this in terms of Nami 5, Siga 5, and Yanu in the middle. They're not looking to pick up a lone soldier here. We're fighting for Yanu. Let's
Yeah.
be clear, especially with Yanu 100% immune. Like one person's not going to tip the tables. One person isn't going to like build up Yanu to become the majority or give it so much to, Nami that if Yanu goes with Siga, that they still have it. So no one's really looking to pick up strays in this specific Murgatory.
Yeah.
But you had to have make kind of a case of like, we should go with us instead of Nami.
Can I take you back to the previous tribal council? I had
Yeah.
a really great chat with Jem last week as well. Can you talk about, you mentioned the Charlie's Angels there for a moment. How blindsided were you by people on your tribe going against kind of that whole Charlie's Angel group?
I was in shock, but I wasn't in awe. Like
Yeah.
I definitely smelled something was a little bit fishy going into tribal, just based on the amount of scrambling that was going on and just like it just felt weird. You kind of just feel it in your bones. And I knew that I was safe, which is mostly because of Charlie's Angels and because I was able to make those stronger connections with Charlie and Maria, where they're just like Mo's off the table. Like we're not even entertaining. It's Gem or blah blah blah,
Yeah.
or in this Ben. But I had a moment with Charlie before I went to tribal that was very authentic and very real of saying like, hey buddy, like as your friend, I know this is really tough for you. And that was me kind of playing defense to this like fish that I smelled of like a hey, like listen, like keep my name out of it still. Like I can tell something's fishy is going on. I'm voting the way you told me to show trust. But at the end of the day, I am still open to working with you. So there's definitely some sense of this doesn't seem quite right. I still
Yeah.
thought it would probably go our way, but it wasn't a like, no, that's no way there's gonna happen.
Yeah, I was blindsided by Maria as well in that episode going against you. What was that relationship like with Maria that maybe we're not seeing?
Yeah, I mean, Maria and I were actually really, really close out there. So Maria, I know she came on and said, I don't want to be a mom type, but like her and I just had a very special relationship, obviously with the three women, like
Yeah.
walking about, but even like at the merge, her not only having gone to Siegel with me talking with her and Charlie, me talking with her alone, and then me at the merge, like Maria and I were very, very close out there. And it's just not something that I think really developed or needed to develop to really make sense of this story in 90 minutes.
Yeah, no, completely, completely. At the merge, it seemed there was a potential connection with Venus. Can you talk a little bit about that relationship?
Yeah, I actually really liked Venus and I would have been open to working with her. But the one trepidation there is, like I said, with Murgatory, it's so weird because you don't know what the teams are. So that
Yeah.
entire first day, you can't really be like, who are we going for? Because you don't know who you can go for yet.
Yeah.
So with Venus, I really did want to work with her. I'm glad she picked up on those vibes. What I didn't love and where I was a little cautious is that when she came to me with my little babysitter Tim nearby, it wasn't a like, hey, I'm on the bottom, take me. It was a hey, you give me information, I give you information, which told me she was kind of like using us to play her own game, but not maybe necessarily interested in working with us, which is true. She didn't want to work with us. She wanted to work with me.
Yeah. Yes, that is like it's so fascinating. And I really love the point you talk about the Murgatory as well. I as a big nerdy Survivor fan have always had a little bit of a gripe with it. And I can feel that as well, where it kind of stunts the capacity to play for that 24-hour window prior to the challenge
Yeah.
itself. That's really hard. And in that scramble in the conversations, I don't know when it happens time wise. You have the conversation with Q. You reference one of my personal favorite survivors of all time, Aubrey Bracco. So we're on the same page there. Can you talk about your love for Aubrey? Because I just feel like I just tell me about why you love Aubrey so much. Because I can see the similarities physically, but why do you like her as a player and a character?
Yeah, like and I even like in the game, I was very aware of like she's a great player. Like to me, she is the best. Like she's my favorite player, and part of that
Yeah.
isn't just the game, but more the emotional, right? Like I think like you kind of touch on the physical, and like that kind of weirdly is an aspect of like going back like mid early 2000s. I'm like going through middle, like it's not a good time in my life. I think high school or something like that, and you're looking and you're seeing these people on TV, and there's Aubrey, and she is different than markedly everyone else on TV at that time. She is on my favorite show. She's showing that like you can kind of embrace and channel your idiosyncrasies and differences and still make it work for you without really surrendering yourself completely. And for me, that was really powerful and really great to watch on TV. And throughout the years, it wasn't just like one, it was three times
Yeah.
to varying degrees of success, but still being able to go out and play as herself, but still play her game. So I found that really empowering and really inspiring, especially at that time in my life.
Like no, I agree. Like in our hearts, there's success all three times, so it's fine. She was amazing, and like you were in this season, I think that I think you'll be surprised how much you have impacted and touched people this season, which has been a really amazing. When you look back and you see that that's seen as a detriment, your knowledge of the show, what can you do to counter that, or can you counter that? Because it just seems such a strange thing to say. We're going to vote you out because you know Survivor so well.
I know it's like, did do you not know your homework? Like
Yeah.
when I said a tribal, I'm the most honest person here. I meant it because if you're sitting here and you're telling me you have no knowledge of this game that you signed up for and left your life for 6 weeks to play, I'm not going to believe you. I just think you're less likely to tell me the truth. So, like, to
Yeah.
me, that was outrageous, especially considering that, like, my knowledge of the game was saying I liked a very well known player after actually Q had just told me his favorite was Jeremy Collins. So, it's
Yeah.
kind of that same level. I just felt like at that moment, Q wanted a reason to hate me. He wanted a reason to get me out because at the end of the day, admittedly, like even with him, like him and I are just like very different wavelengths. And I don't know necessarily how we stayed in. Like we probably wouldn't have ended up working together. So he was just looking for something, anything to pin it on me. So and then it just happened that I was on the losing team and it happened that Tim was there and Tim said my name and he's just like, great, I can jump higher than that woman any day and I'm jumping on this. So
Yeah.
that's it.
Look, I feel that as well. It's so hard when they're just looking for any excuse. And I love the reference to Jeremy Collins that you shared there as well. That's so interesting because it's more of a comparison. I know time is out, so I need to let you go after this question. But thank you so much for talking. I'm sure you would have done amazing in the Hunters Challenge as well. The actual icons and numbers as well. From your Survivor experience, your journey, what have you learned about yourself, Mo, from this whole experience you've just been through?
Oh God. I feel like weirdly I went on like a huge like journey of self-worth, right? You go out and you're thinking about like how can I be useful to the tribe? What can I do to make the tribe? And over time for me it was at least I don't need to make myself useful because I just am.
Yeah.
Like I can exist and I can take up space and I can declare like I need this because I'm worthy of saying that I need that. And kind of in the end when I'm like, you know what? I'm telling you everything. I'm putting it out there. This is what I'm asking for. You don't get anything unless you ask for it. So I found that really influential in my life.
Yeah, I love that. I totally agree. And I touch on something you said earlier about like controlling your controllables as well. It's such a great and powerful thing to take from it. And I hope you have taken that from your experience. Sorry again, like you didn't get that buff. I know how much it would have meant to like a real fan of the show to make it that point, but you still
The
really
only
made a huge impact. Yeah, well, apparently.
apparently.
Apparently. But honestly, thank you for playing and thank you for representing fans and going out there and playing so well. It was really a pleasure to watch you play.
Oh, thank you so much.
No problem.